getting into Chris Cole a little bit more, I think he's going to have a little bit different. Obviously going to have a little different skill set. I don't know that he quite plays with the same power that Jalon Walker does, but what I do think is I think he's a little bit better in coverage. I think they're going to use him on third down primarily as a quarterback spot.
As usual, the Dogs have been barking in the NFL draft. Another record year for the Georgia Bulldogs. I believe they got 15 drafted, somewhere around there, along with a few undrafted free agent pickups as well. But more specifically, we're going to look at a guy that's going to be replacing the dominant defensive end / outside linebacker position. Jalon Walker obviously goes in the first round to the hometown Atlanta Falcons. I know you and I are very excited about that, definitely. Being local boys, being Georgia fans. Maybe we're a little bit biased on this one, but man, are we happy to see the Falcons finally get it right in the draft in the first round with a good old Georgia boy. So congratulations, first off, to Jalon Walker. Now let's transition to who's going to be replacing him. This guy is unbelievable. This guy is no slouch. This guy can pick up the slack and start off where Jalon Walker left off. That guy is named Chris Cole. Chris Cole is a dominant defensive end. I know Brad probably knows a lot more about him than I know. He follows Georgia football very, very closely. I'm more on the broader spectrum of what's going around the nation, as you are too, but you know a little bit more Georgia inside than I do. Brad, give us your initial take. What is Georgia and the fans of Georgia, of the Georgia Bulldogs, what are they getting in a guy like Chris Cole, and how can he replace Jalon Walker?
Yeah, so Jalon Walker, Nate, was just such an unusual player. Was brought in kind of as an inside linebacker, off-the-ball linebacker, and then Kirby and Glenn Schumann developed him into, this spy linebacker. Sometimes he'd play off the line, but then, they really, specifically this past year, they started putting him to rush the passer. I mean, he dominated Texas. And I remember when, watching the draft, when Kelvin Banks, the very, very good Texas offensive tackle, when they were showing his highlights, they would bring up his weaknesses, and guess who was whipping his tail at times? It was Jalon Walker. Jalon Walker dominated the Texas game both times. But he's not, Jalon was not the biggest guy, 6'1", about 240, 245, but just play with power, play with speed, play with determination, and was a jack of all trades linebacker. Could literally put him anywhere. Now we bring in Chris Cole. Chris Cole was a 5-star out of the state of Virginia. Such an unusual background. Ran some track, has got elite speed, but played some safety. And I definitely thought when he was on campus that, okay, he's gonna be an off-the-ball linebacker. He's gonna be, Smile Munden, Roquan in that role. And then we read this past spring, and I can't wait till we have Jake Rowe on again.
Absolutely.
That stay tuned, but because I want to ask Jake about Chris more, but we've seen that Chris Cole is potentially going to take on this Jalon Walker role, and unbelievable. Read that he's probably up to about 230, 235. He's still got that elite speed, but that he's rushing the passer, and that's what is fascinating about how Kirby and Glenn Schumann use some of these guys. These guys can play hybrid roles. Getting into Chris Cole a little bit more, I think he's going to have a little bit different. Obviously going to have a little different skill set. I don't know that he quite plays with the same power that Jalon Walker does, but what I do think is I think he's a little bit better in coverage. I think they're going to use him on third down primarily as a quarterback spot. I think they're going to sit him in the middle of the field, and if there's an open lane in the quarterback, he's going to go get it. If a QB is scrambling, he's going to go get it. Like I said, what really sets him apart, though, is he's got a background kind of playing as a safety linebacker hybrid. It's his coverage skills that I think make him great. That Georgia linebacker room is going to be really really good. And I think this guy's going to be an absolute breakout star. He played really, really well as a true freshman. Nate, he's gonna be a breakout star for the Dogs this year.
Well, I think you summed it up pretty nicely. He's the Swiss Army knife that Georgia's been waiting for.
That's exactly right.
He can play it all. And when I think about a guy like Chris Cole in the SEC this year, and outside the SEC, if they get to the playoff and have to play potential other quarterbacks, you talk about the spying ability and to sit back in coverage, say the guy takes off. You're going to have to be playing guys like And I was going to say Lenore Sellers. You're going to have to be playing guys like DJ Lagway. You're going to have to be playing guys like Arch Manning.
Right.
These are guys who are not afraid to take off and run, and big physical contact guys when they make contact. You need a guy like Chris Cole.
Absolutely. I mean, and you mentioned a couple of guys that are going to be on Georgia's schedule. You know, Arch Manning's on the regular season schedule. DJ Lagway. I think about a guy, and Chris Cole played some in this game last year, but I think his role increases. Haynes King from Georgia Tech. Haynes King, really for the past 2 years, destroyed Georgia with just that QB power or QB zone. Chris Cole's going to be brought in to do that this year. And so there's some other quarterbacks. You mentioned Lenore Sellers. Georgia's not playing South Carolina in the regular season, but
you never know, playoff.
Potentially the playoff. You know,
or SEC championship.
You know, I think about potentially new Tennessee starting quarterback Joey Aguilar, who's an App State transfer.
Just committed officially today.
Just committed from UCLA.
Trade.
We're not going to get into that, but at App State, he ran the football, and that's an early season game. So Chris Cole, like I said, he has got the perfect skill set. He's got the perfect just athletic ability to really be the spy and shut down these guys. I'm going to throw out a old name for Georgia fans that a little bit who he reminds me of. Alec Ogletree. Alec Ogletree was a 5-star safety, was a big kid, and they ended up moving him down in the box. I think Chris Cole is similar in that. Like I said, I think he's going to be rushing the passer, but a little bit more. But that's kind of a very rough comparison. That's who he reminds me of a little bit.
Yeah, when I look at my notes, Brad, I mean, I could go through the list of NFL comparison and stuff like that. And to your point, the Alec Ogletree, I think that's a phenomenal example as well. Just the biggest thing that sticks out to me is his speed. When you look at 4.5 speed as an outside linebacker / DN, good luck quarterbacks and running backs.
Right.
I mean, you could see a situation where maybe he gets past that first level, the running back or whoever, and Chris Cole is going to be there to get him. I mean, that's the kind of guy you need.
Yeah.
That's the guy Kirby wants in his defense and will lean on a lot come this season. I think it's a phenomenal pickup. You know, I haven't seen him play on the field as much as I probably should have in film tape, but just reading the stats, reading what he brings to this defense, it's only going to add to Georgia's dominance defense. And listen, you talk about a Georgia team who has a lot of question marks heading into this year. If there's one thing you don't have to question, it's Kirby Smart's defense.
Absolutely.
And Chris Cole is one of those guys who's going to help him get to that next level once again in the 2025 year.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you.
If you're a Georgia fan, big old Dawgs fan, go Dawgs. Let us know down in the comments who you think will be the star on this year's Georgia's defense. Is it going to be Chris Cole? Could it be someone else? We know that they're replacing Malachi Starks and a few other guys. Yeah. Let us know. Drop down in the comments what you think. Be sure to like this video, subscribe down below, turn on that bell notification so you can stay up to date when we post our latest content. We'll see you next week. It's time to break the huddle.